Hey, Pearson.
Hey, Calvin.
Pearson, did you know that WNURsports.com does more than just article writing?
It does? Please tell me more.
WNURsports.com also has a radio station.
Man, it's almost like people are listening to it right now.
That's right. And on Sundays from 7 to 9 p.m., you can tune in to WNUR Sports to hear our station members give you three electrifying shows right here on the Sports Block.
Only on 89.3.
And now on YouTube. Welcome everyone to the first episode on YouTube of On the Clock with me, your host, Charlie Jacobs. Also on the radio, and I'm happy to be joined by a returning guest. Hasn't been here in a minute, but it's great to have you back, Mr. Matt Campbell.
I'm
Matt,
so back.
yeah,
We are so back. A Northwestern lacrosse dub that we'll get into later on Sports Block, and a softball regional somehow that we'll get into as well on her take and Sports Voice. So stick around for that. But I'm gonna let the host actually introduce the topic. I was about to overspeak, but go ahead.
Well, it's good to have you. And yeah, Northwestern has been successful, but no offense to any of you Northwestern fans out there. This show is not about Northwestern sports. You do have the ticker down at the bottom, but still, we're talking football. And the 2025 NFL draft, the coverage here kind of over, and I think it's not a little bit too early. It's way too early to move on and talk about the 2026 NFL draft. So, Matt, is there any players you really want to talk about first for this draft?
I mean, when I'm looking at these big boards, like this like varies a lot. There's one that has Arch Manning at number 1, Drew Aller number 2, T.J. Parker, Caden Proctor. There's another one that has Caleb Downs at number 1. There's one that has Arch Manning at like the bottom 20. There's this one Yahoo Sports has him at 19 and has Drew Aller at 20. So, I mean, there's a lot. The Yahoo Sports has Lenora Sellers at number 3, Caden Proctor at number 5. So, I mean, like, this could get pretty interesting.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, this past year's draft that happened not even a month ago now. It's crazy. It felt like it was forever ago. Very interesting. Obviously, you had the whole quarterback situation. Cam Ward goes 1, doesn't even have his highlight tape shown on ESPN because Mel Kiper's only talking about Shedeur Sanders, who falls into the 5th round. And this year's quarterback class, at least prospectively, looks a lot different and a lot better. Yes, it is very early, and there also is a chance that many of these guys don't even declare. Namely, you said Arch Manning, he might not declare. Same thing with Lenora Sellers. Same thing with Sam Levitt, who you didn't mention. But I mean, my favorite player in this class, at least my favorite quarterback, is Lenora Sellers. And I mean, this guy, redshirt freshman at South Carolina, he's my number 1 quarterback in this class. South Carolina started the season 3-3, and 2 of those losses were to Alabama and LSU, both by a combined 5 points total in those losses. South Carolina won the next 9 straight, including a big win against Clemson at the end of the season, the day after Thanksgiving. And if you didn't watch that game, Lenora Sellers put on some heroics at the end of the game. He reminds me of like a more agile, athletic, kind of like if Lamar Jackson and Donovan McNabb were in one player.
That's a good way to put it.
And again, it is very early to be making these statements about these players, but this is my number 1 quarterback in the class. I don't see how this is changing, as this is also probably my Heisman pick.
Yeah, this 6'3", 242 with the 4'6", 40. I don't think that's crazy to say that this might be the Heisman next year. This probably is a top 5 pick next year. He has the size. He's a dual threat quarterback. He is a deep ball threat. I'm a baseball guy, so this is a baseball term, but like a 5-tool player, honestly, or as close to it in a game of college football as you can get, you know. I mean, the deep ball is a little shaky at times. One of his weaknesses is listed as that. He could play a little fast sometimes. I'm kind of going off what the site says, and I could agree with that. I could agree with a lot of this. But I feel like all of these weaknesses will be hashed out in the off season. So yeah, I can't really disagree with you. I am. And speaking of players,
I mean,
let's
speaking about Sellers even more, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I think South Carolina as a whole could end up being a legit national championship contender. I believe in them. They have a good receiving core. I mean, Nick Harbor showed at the end of last season why he's going to be a dog. I mean, he has 99 speed on college football 25 for a reason, you know. But Lenora Sellers, born on June 23rd, 2005. He's 19 years old, and
He's a year older than me.
he's 19 years old, and he's in talks of Heisman right now,
Yes.
which is absurd. The fact that this guy is basically the same age as us, and we're talking about someone potentially getting multi-million dollars, being a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, that isn't even happening. We don't even know who's going to be picking in the top 5, let alone we don't know anything. We don't know what trades are going to happen, but really this moves on to the next quarterback, and I think you wanted to bring one up.
Yeah, I think the guy that rivals him for that Heisman talk is Arch Manning, essentially a mirror image in terms of a quarterback, except he's more so of a pocket passer, and you could see that in the limited time that he had at Texas this season. You could see him grow comfortable into that pocket, but the difference is he has the speed, unlike his dad and his uncle. He actually has the legs to
Uncles.
uncles. He actually has the legs to get out of the pocket and gain some yards with his footing. So yeah, I think this Heisman race might be one of the most exciting ones that we've seen in recent memory. Could probably rival the Heisman race last year between Shadur and Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter, who eventually won it, of course. But um, yeah, I'm excited to see Sellers versus Manning in the Heisman talks, and who knows, maybe it's another quarterback that we haven't mentioned.
Maybe, and we'll get
Maybe
to
it's
that soon.
maybe Drew Aller finds himself in that conversation,
Maybe, and
which
I mean,
sounds insane to say, but
it could
you
also end
never
up
know.
it could also end just being like a sneaky Jeremiah Smith, but we're not talking about the 2027 NFL draft class, even though looking at it ahead now, which is absolutely absurd, looks like it could be one of the best draft classes ever,
Yes.
and especially coming off of the 2024 class, which was absolutely legendary so far, at least when you have 6 quarterbacks who all might be long-term starters, all in the top 12. It's just unheard of. But speaking of more quarterbacks, you were mentioning Drew Aller. So Matt, you have the floor. What do you like about Drew Aller? What do you not like?
I think Drew Aller at Penn State. This sounds a little corny to say. I think he's a true leader. I think he has the experience, and he's a guy that can head that offense very well. I feel like he gets a lot of hate because he cracked under pressure in the college football playoff, but I wouldn't count him out just yet. I think he's due for a bounce back season. I think Penn State will be back in that 12-team college football playoff and will probably make the trip to the Superdome for that national championship.
Bold words there. Already picking the national champion, or at
Not
least
the
a
national,
team. I
but
said a
I
team in
think
the national
yes,
championship.
but I
Yes.
think I think Penn State is
Well,
a
they
bigger
are.
contender than a lot of people think, and even if not Drew Hour, Penn State has the best running back room in
They
the
do. They
country.
do have a very good running back
So
duo, which we will actually talk about a little bit later. But more just quickly, my thoughts on Aller. I thought if he declared this year, he would have probably gone in the top 5. Even though, because I mean, yes, there are definitely some things that are concerning, like you said, sometimes game management, and also just he hasn't really had that big game, like that clutch performance that you see a lot of these guys. Like, I mean, Cam Ward had a couple of clutch performances, but still, Drew Aller, he never really had weapons at Penn State. The best weapon he had was Tyler Warren, who Tyler Warren in and of himself was an incredible player in college. Yet to be seen how that translates into the NFL. But with Warren, it is definitely a bit it's a bit I mean, with Warren, obviously Warren was just a different type of player, and Aller didn't really have any receiving weapons like he will likely have this season. Moving on, just a dark horse quarterback I really like is Fernando Mendoza. He's now playing at Indiana. Played for Cal last season, and if there's anything we know about Kurt Signetti, he knows how to win. Uh, I win. Google me. Famous words of Coach Signetti. Also, want to shout out Sam Levitt, who was awesome in the college football playoffs for Arizona State. Carson Beck, you got to throw his name in there,
Oh
as,
yeah.
as weird as it sounds, now at Miami. Garrett Nussmeyer, Cade Klubnik, who we didn't even mention, who might even end up going number 1. Nico Imaliava, Kevin Jennings, Dante Moore, Diego Pavia, just so many names that could be solid quarterbacks, and there's more names now because it is so early.
I feel like I want to touch on Nussmeyer a little bit because uh, I feel like this is such a crucial year because I, as an athlete, he's just not who you're looking for as an NFL scout. But he's projected to go top 10 in a lot of these big boards thus far in these way too early draft classes. But on this specific one that I'm looking at, he's listed as 6'2", 200 pounds. He has a 4.8 40-yard dash. So he's not very mobile. But when you look at the player comparisons as a pocket passer, you see names like Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Bo Nix,
I
which
mean,
is very hard to disagree with. I could definitely see that in this kind of guy, and he has some natural arm talent. But the question is, how does that frame translate to the NFL?
again, I do believe that if he declared for this most recent draft, he probably have been a later first round pick, kind of around where Jackson Dart went, maybe a second or third round pick. But also just a big thing too is that Cam Ward last year at the start of last season before the draft was projected to be like a fifth round pick, around probably the range where Shedeur Sanders went, and Cam Ward rocketed up, won the Heisman at Miami. Huge. He started out at Incarnate Word and went after 2 years at Incarnate Word, was at Washington State, and then obviously moved on to now that year at Miami. I think let's move on from the quarterbacks. Let's talk running backs. I know you said you wanted to talk about that Penn State duo, so have at it, Matt.
Okay, Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen. Nicholas Singleton, the running back one at Penn State. Or well, there is no specific running back one at Penn State, but this guy's a dog. 6 foot, 227 pounds, 4.40. Reminds me of like, I don't know if this is a Jets fan in me or not, but Braylon Allen's like a guy that comes to mind. He just runs angry. And especially like towards the end of the season, I felt like he really came on and he kind of just like started playing freely. He's super athletic. He's a guy that could do it all. He could be a power back, but he's very very shifty in the open field as well. And he has like that Le'Veon Bell kind of patience in order to see gaps in that through that offensive line in that blocking scheme. Um, the one thing that I guess he can improve upon, which is not really a weakness of his, but like his lateral movement is a little slow. And I guess like sometimes he could have some boneheaded mistakes, but
They're really star-studded duo. If you were watching Penn State football last season, especially in the playoffs, yes, Tyler Warren's great. Yes, Drew Aller's great. Yes, the defense is great, led by Abdul Carter. Let's go Giants. But that running back duo of Allen and Singleton were disgusting in the playoffs, and I still don't think either of them is the RB1 in this class. I
the
think it's by far and away Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame.
I
He is a dog. He's a guy who you want on your football team. You saw him for Notre Dame, who didn't really have many pass catching weapons. Yes, Riley Leonard used his legs as well, but that Notre Dame team prided itself on defense, coming back in the clutch, winning close games, and running the damn ball. And
yeah,
that's what they did, and that's what Jeremiah Love is. Think of Bijan Robinson coming out of Texas. This guy is a similar type of player. He's just an all-around baller, and Notre Dame is like, despite a lot of changes for Notre Dame in this college football offseason, having a new quarterback and just a whole bunch of that. Actually, I think the quarterback hasn't played a single snap really, or hasn't played much, but still having a guy like Jeremiah Love to lean on
yeah,
is exactly
that's
what you
huge.
want.
That's huge.
And other than that, there's going to be more running backs that shoot up. But I do want to move on to another position. Let's keep the theme with the offense. Let's go to wide receiver. Who's your top receiver in this draft, Matt?
Oh, there's a lot to pick from. There is a lot to pick from. I
Yeah.
mean,
How about I give you mine first, then you give me your next.
yeah,
After. I'm gonna go with Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. And Tyson in the playoffs was hurt towards the end, and if he was healthy, there's a chance that Arizona State actually does beat Texas. Tyson was a third-team All-American in his sophomore season per AP, and this guy is just he led the nation with 729 receiving yards, and he had the second highest route or yards per route run at 4.03 of
yeah.
all Power 4 wideouts, and transferred from Colorado in just the second half of the season. He was awesome. Huge breakout year, had over 1,000 yards. Unfortunately, as I said, that shoulder injury really ended that season. But you have a good quarterback in Sam Levitt throwing to him. No more Cam Scott, but it's going to be a lot of Tyson next year.
I think the wide receiver one in this group, and this is kind of a dark horse pick, but not really, is Carnell Tate. I think when you think about deep ball threat, oof, it's so hard not to think about Carnell Tate. Just watch the Wrigley game. Just watch the Wrigley game. The way he took the top off of Northwestern secondary, and I watched it live. The top off Northwestern secondary was absolutely brutal. Like his vertical burst might be one of, if not the best amongst all wide receivers in college football. As soon as this guy gets into the secondary, I mean, you can't really go one on one against Tate, or else like your corner's gonna get burned unless you're Caleb Downs, which we'll get to in a second.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, you need help over the top, and sometimes that doesn't even help because his hands are so good. He could. As soon as he gets deep, he's a jump ball threat. You can't go one on one with this guy. You always have to. You got to star him
Yeah,
if you're a
6'3", he's
defensive
big.
coordinator. He's 6'3" as well.
191 though might be a little bit concerning. A little bit.
He's a
More
little
like
bit
Devontae
under.
Smith
He's
type
a
weight, but a little bit
little. He's a
taller.
little bit
He's a
undersized.
little lanky. He's tall, but he's lanky. And
Yes.
I do think another receiver I really like down the board, obviously, Nick Harbor, I mentioned, big time recruit. 6'5" and one of the fastest wide receivers in the country, despite being 235 pounds. And as I mentioned, yeah, just a monster of a man. Had a huge catch for South Carolina late in the season, or against Alabama. He had that catch to put it to 2, and then that game kind of slipped out of the hands of the Gamecocks. Also, really like Kevin Concepcion. Think he could be a baller. Eric Singleton as well. But I think let's skip over tight ends. You want
Wait.
to talk any offensive line, or you want to talk tight end?
I wanted to talk one more wide receiver.
Or who? Which wide receiver?
Zachariah Branch out of USC. Well, now transfer from USC, now at Georgia, which I think is a perfect fit for him because man, I'm so excited for this guy in that Georgia scheme because he could essentially do with this acceleration, he could do anything you want him to do. You want him to come over the middle, he's got it. You want him to go deep, he's got it. You want to put him in the run scheme, done. Throw a screen over to him and let him work in the open field, done. This guy is so versatile. He'll fit right in with that Georgia offense, especially because it's very hard nosed at times, but like they do have the ability to like go in the bag of tricks per se and get flashy with their offensive scheme. So I think it's exciting to see where Branch fits within that group.
Well, I mean, another thing about Branch that I do love is that he'll be a special teamer for sure. This guy is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's going to be an instant kick return guy. Cavante Turbin, think even if his wide receiver career doesn't pan out, he'll just be a guy that you want in a team for special teams.
Right.
And that might even get him drafted higher than you'd think. Think of Cordell Patterson, who got drafted in the first round because not only he got drafted as a wide receiver, then turned running back, but really is legendary in and of his own right because of his ability to return kicks. And now that's very different. Now with how the new rules are in the NFL, it is different. But let's move on. Do you want to talk some offensive line?
Let's talk some O-line.
Because this might be big for the Giants. Caden Proctor and Spencer Fano, I think the two top tackles in this class. Starting with Proctor out of Alabama. I mean, this guy is just a monster of a human. He is ginormous. 6'7", 369, plays tackle, and does not move like he's 6'7", 369.
Oh, no.
And then you got Spencer Fano out of Utah, who was a second-team All-American last season, 6'5", 304. Just a great run block mauler.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Francis Mayoga, who's at the top of a lot of these big boards, 6'6", 385. The 5'3", 40 is a little slow. Even for an offensive lineman, he's a little slow. But I don't know, man. Something about these guys from American Samoa, especially, I don't know what it is, particularly offensive line, defensive line. Football players out of America Samoa are just beasts. Think 1990s prime University of Miami Dwayne Johnson, or even nowadays just any offensive lineman out of American Samoa is just a demon. And it's oh man, This guy gets clocked in at 20 miles an hour going downhill in the run block. Could you just imagine that? Okay, envision this guy that's 6'6", 315-pound lineman running full speed at a safety. I don't care, any safety.
What if it's Caleb Downs?
What if it's Caleb
I'm
Downs?
still taking Caleb
Running
Downs.
full speed at 21, 22 miles an hour, ready to take your head off, and you're the last line of defense before this running back gets onto the open field for a touchdown. What do? What are you supposed to do?
I don't know. But what I do know is that Caleb Downs. Let's talk defense now.
Let's
go
talk
defense. Caleb Downs might be the best player in this class. And when he was a freshman, first at Alabama, transferred to Ohio State, was one of the best players in the country already. He is that good on defense. I mean, him and Jeremiah Smith were like the best young core. You have arguably the two best players in college football on opposite sides of the ball. Those really must be fun position battles in practice.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, we could talk about Caleb Downs, and I'm sure there will be a lot more Caleb Downs talk in the future. And there's not enough good to say about him because he's that good of a player. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about the other guys, like the edge rusher duo, defensive line duo, whatever you want to call them, out of Clemson, TJ Parker and Peter Woods. So what I know you know about Parker, so let me hear it.
TJ Parker, 6'3", 265. Oh, I mean, what's not there to say about this guy? The hand usage is elite. 1-arm rusher, 2-arm rusher, bull rusher, whatever you want.
11 sacks last season,
11
6 forced fumbles.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So whatever you need him to do, he's got it. You need him to rip underneath, go into the B gap, you got it. You need him to scrape to the A gap, you got it. You need this guy to come off into the D gap and contain the run, done. Yeah, I mean, this guy could do whatever. Except, the first step could be a little slow getting off the line, but
those are the nitpicky things. Someone who's not nitpicky. Have you heard of Jermon McCoy out of Tennessee? Corner, probably the top corner in this class, at least as of now, as Downs as a safety. McCoy, second team All-American last season, and just he has great ball skills, really just great moving around the field. Transferred to Tennessee from Oregon State and had the second highest coverage grade on PFF in 2024 among returning Power 4 corners.
Yeah, a two-sport athlete out of high school, was also ran track. I mean,
that speaks for itself. I mean, look at
speaks
Xavier
for
Worthy.
itself. Yeah. I mean, I do think of Xavier Worthy, except if you were to take him and like clone him and make him a DB, that's essentially what you get in Jermon McCoy. So,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of these DBs, it's gonna be exciting to see who becomes DB1 or DB2, because I feel like even as much as we think Caleb Downs is far and away the number one, I think Malik Muhammad. I feel like that's a guy that you don't really look at, but I feel like it's a guy that definitely has the ability to overtake him in the rankings and shoot up to like the top 3 in the draft.
Well, no, Muhammad for sure is definitely a good player in it of his own right, and he was good at Texas, but still, I think it's Downs. And then you got McCoy, but then quickly, let's talk about some linebackers before we move on to the next segment of the show.
I can wait to get to these linebackers.
Anthony
I played
Hill?
linebacker in high school.
I know you were.
Yeah.
Do you know Anthony Hill Jr. then?
Of course, I know Anthony Hill Jr.
I want the Giants to take him, no matter where our pick is. He's that just prototypical Mike linebacker you want on your team. He's the guy you give the green dot to. He is a baller, a mauler, everything good about him. I want on my football team.
Yeah, this is the guy that you tell us be the Mike. This is your Mike linebacker. Like if you see him play at Texas, he watches film. He knows the offensive scheme. He knows his assignments. He knows what gap he's supposed to be, and from there, like, it's natural athleticism, lateral quickness. You could put him in on the blitz. You could put him in zone coverage, and he knows where to be. So I feel like this is by far like linebacker number 1 in the draft class. Like, if I'm the Jets, and I say the Jets because the Jets have a linebacker group.
Too.
Yes, I'm a Jets fan. But our linebacker group is getting old. Okay, there's not much more that CJ Mosley can do for this team. So I need this guy.
Well,
I need this guy to learn from Mosley and learn the Jets defense. And when like Mosley like becomes damaged goods or he retires or whatever, Anthony Hill Jr. becomes